Today's February 3rd, 2011. I'm going to talk today about long distance relationships. According to statistics, there's between 3 to 7 million Americans that are in long distance relationships. It's a lot. Long distance relationships are really, really difficult. They're not impossible, but they are difficult. They're a bit challenging, as I like to say. There are several kinds of long distance relationships that I think they should have a distinction. There's long distance relationships like within state, like California is big, and you can have somebody who's in San Diego and then somebody who's in Modesto or San Jose or San Francisco, and that's a pretty long distance relationship. That's about 8, 10, 9 hour drive or something like that. So that's that. Then you have long distance that's within country, from like say California or Mexico or Texas or Colorado or Maryland, New York, and Montana. There's that, and then there's international long distance. It's like between countries. Those tend to be the most trying and the most difficult, just because when the two people want to actually get together, in the end, you have to go through a lot of red tape and government stuff for like visas and green cards or citizenship or whatever the hell the case may be. It tend to be kind of a pain in the ass when you have to deal with anything but yourself, you and the other person. And so for me, I think I've done nothing but long distance relationships since I was like 19 years old. It's really been horrible. Not the long distance itself. Long distance itself really doesn't do anything. Like, that's the thing. People always say, "Oh, long distance, long distance." It's like long distance, to me, I like to describe it. It's like a desert. It's like it's vast and barren, and sometimes it can make you hallucinate. It can make you see things. If you stay in it too long, and you don't give yourself proper nourishment or whatever that may be, it can start to make you hallucinate. You'll start to see, believe, hear, and think things that really aren't true. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm somewhere and the other person's somewhere and I haven't seen them or haven't talked to them in a long time or whatever, then you start to think, I wonder who they're talking to. Are they cheating on me? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? Or whatever. And then you'll start filling in the blanks. You know, mine has these gaps in it where it's like, okay, people who are conscious and present or whatever, they're able to just kind of sit and be still. Most of us are working on that sort of thing, and we tend to fill in the gaps with assumptions. And we all know what happens when you make an assumption. And so, so things that I think that help a lot are tools like Skype. That helps a lot. It's free, and you can make video calls from person to person. And now they have it on the Blackberries and the iPhones or whatever. So that really helps. For me personally, it was really difficult with long distance because the call expenses of calls, especially international, those tend to be really expensive. In other countries like Spain or maybe even Canada, they don't get charged if they receive a call. But here in the United States, a lot of companies, or all of them, for cellular service, even if you receive the call, you still get charged. And so what I did was I had calling cards. There's some calling cards that you can get and manage and purchase and all that online that are really helpful. You can look that up. Some of the calling cards let you use the calling card on your cell phone. Some calling cards, in fact, they let you convert the person's number into a local number, so that when you actually do call them, like, you get charged at like a local regular sort of rate instead of like an international. I was with Verizon, and get charged quite. They have like a little bit of a little package or something that but it's not a long distance service. Nobody has a long distance, an international one. So it's just a pain in the ass. The other thing is flights. Flights are difficult. Flying is expensive, especially now after 9/11, and then after just the airline companies, they took a big hit. And so some helpful sites like Orbitz, You can go directly to this airline site like American Airlines or whatever. They tend to be, okay. Um, Orbitz and cheap tickets, cheapoairfare.com. And there's lots of them. I'll probably list some of them that really help with that. One thing is helpful is if you live near a major airport. If you live out in the sticks, somewhere in the damn somewhere way out from like a major airport, then damn, you pretty much just jack yourself. It's just don't even bother. Like, don't even do that, because you save so much money if you live near a major airport, because major airports tend to have more airliners come through them, as opposed to these small little rinky-dinky. Like, I live near LAX, Los Angeles International Airport, one of the biggest airports in the world, one of the busiest. Also, most likely to lose your shit. And so, a lot of deals. It's not that difficult for them to have a lot of. They got United going through them, American Airlines. They got Spanair. They got freaking New Zealand, whatever the hell, Australia. They got all kinds of airliners coming through them. But if you live near like a small airport, they probably don't have as many people, airlines coming through. So you really that it's not like you can't get the flights or whatever, but it's more expensive. You can check and compare. Like when you go on these sites, do a search for like your local airports or airlines or whatever, and then search out in the radius and see. You see to compare how the flight prices drop if you go to like a bigger city, Berlin, Madrid, or Barcelona, or just Stockholm or whatever. It's different places that have like major, the thing about the United States, like every state has like its major airport, so that's a good thing. So yeah, those are different kinds of long distance relationships. The international ones tend to be difficult. There's a lot of green, a lot of red tape and stuff you have to go through. The thing that I think I stress the most about any relationship, but particularly in long distance relationship, is communication. You have to communicate a lot. You have to communicate consecutively. You can't complain. You can't complain about the distance, because the distance is not real. It's an illusion. It's all in your mind. It's only what we make of it. Like, it's totally possible for two people who are from other countries to come together. It's totally possible for two people from different states, cities, backgrounds, cultures, religions, creeds, and whatever to come together and have love. Love is universal. It doesn't care about color. It doesn't care about anything. Humans create those boundaries. Love is something that's boundless. It doesn't have any boundaries. And so it's totally possible. You just need to communicate. You need to have a strong partner. If you don't have a strong partner, it's not going to work. You both have to put in a lot. It's very easy to give up. It's very easy to run away. It's very easy to do all these things, but it's not just because it's easy doesn't make it the right way. Anything worth having in life is something you really is worth fighting for. And so you really care about the other person. You want things to work hard at it. It's hard work. Every relationship, long distance or not, takes work. You know what I'm saying? They all take work. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. And the other thing about a long distance relationship is that eventually somebody will have to move. And that's the discussion. That's why I said you have to have a communicator. You have to have somebody who's willing to talk. Somebody who's willing to say, okay, let's have a seat. If somebody who doesn't talk about things, who's avoiding, who's somewhat manipulative, somewhat deceitful, whatever, it's impossible. It's impossible. Because the moment you try to talk about some things that are serious, they're going to distract themselves or run away or whatever, and that's going to lead to an argument. And in long distance relationships, you really can't afford too many arguments. You'll argue, but you really can't afford as many of them, because you don't have like a proximal sort of like thing going on. So you really need communication. You need to talk about all your plans and your goals, and really be straightforward and direct, and discuss what your wants and needs, and compromise. Compromise is very important. One person can't do everything. That's not fair. It's not compromising. And that compromise is a skill that you need for marriage and or long-term committed relationship anyway. So you might as well get the practice. So those things are things that I can't stress enough. For me, I've done long distance relationships for over 10 years. And I can tell you, like, some things that work and some things that don't work. And the things that don't work, I can tell you, are the things that don't work for any relationship. But in long distance relationships, they tend to crucify. You know what I'm saying? Like, long distance relationships are kind of like dog years. Like, if you've been in a long distance relationship for like 1 year, that's really like 7. Because you go through all the stages of a normal relationship, but quicker. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go through like the power struggle stage, but you go through it like within the first 2 or 3 months, or 6. You go through it within the first 6 months, as opposed to, I don't know, after 2 3 years. You know, and where two of you are, you know, fighting each other, whatever, for the dominant side perspective of the relationship, whatever. So anyway, that's my advice for long distance relationships. If you have any questions, you can always email me at my blog, nevadawolf1.blogspot.com. Anything I can try to help out. Some of the information, I'll try to, you know, put some stuff up along the way. And yeah, that's it. Good luck, and don't give up. Work hard, communicate. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. That's how humans are designed. We're tougher than what we think. You don't give yourself enough credit. You can do it. Just work hard.